Hello, everybody, and greetings. I am Dr. Daphne Davis, Mama Noni, as I am affectionately called. I am the owner and operator of Sya Academy. We have been in operation for 28 years, and I inherited this business from my mother, Sylvia Davis, and my father, the late William Edward Davis. Both were actively engaged in education. My mother taught for about 40 years, and my dad made it his business to teach children tennis. He coached little league teams, and he also taught students how to take this SAT. And so, as a result, I came from a very academic household, and I'm trying to inspire my students to rise up to some of the academic challenges that we have. And so this is the end of the year, of course, and so we've got about a month and a half, and my students have concluded. My high schoolers have concluded the Sunjata, an Epic of Old Mali. This book here, and Sunjata, an Epic of Old Mali by D.T. Niani, and they now are writing a critical analysis. That age group, Osamwese, which means God made me all right. The youngest student reading this book is about 13, and the oldest is 17, of course. Um, the significance is that this book is based on the real life of Sunjata Keita, and it's not on the Lexile reading scale. The Lexile reading scale is measures book according to grade level, and so this one is not listed on there because it's like probably college level, and so that's just to let you know what. Even though the book is small and looks like it's only a few pages, it really is a very in depth read, in a proverbial written in a proverbial tone. It's transcribed from the Jolly Musas, or what we would call griots today. Griot is really a French word, so the appropriate word is jollies. DJELI. Some of them is jelly, some of it is Jolly Musa. DJALI MUSA. Jolly Baz. All of these were the holders of history, and who were assigned to in the olden times, were assigned to rulers, to leaders, and to ensure that they knew the history and the oral history of of the empire, of the king, of their family lines. And so my students are reading this critical right now for critical analysis. They also have a couple of books that are written for children, and this is the one that I just recently purchased, and my mother is reading it to the Jamoke class, which is ages 3 to 6 right now. And so, so they're getting it on both ends. By the time they get to this book, they will already be familiar with Sunjata Keita. So critical analysis is when the children basically read the literature, then they have to make an assessment of it through their own experience with the reading. It's their perspective of it, and they are having to choose different frames of how they're going to proceed. So for some of them, one of my students picked magical realism, because there is a lot of uh, realism in this book. Is sort of like a Harry Potter, a Marvel, Wakanda kind of vibe to it, but it's set in the like maybe like Robin Hood time frame, because this is the 1200s of ancient Mali. But before I go any further, I wanted to share with you some of the things that I had to pass on to my children. So first of all, this is a map of Mali, the green section here, and Mali included the countries of Senegal, Guinea, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau. Um, it went through, let's see, Niger. It touched the tip of Nigeria and the tip of Benin. Mauritania was in there, Mali, of course, and I mean the countries that are now in existence there. I think Burkina Faso. So this empire together encompassed would be the equivalent of Portugal, France, Spain, France, and the United Kingdom. All of those together would be the equivalent of what the size of Mali was. Mind you, it started, they said this empire has been dated back to, well, it's BC, but as an empire, or when it was beginning to become a larger, more influential, it it would be around 1000 BC, and it lasted until, I mean, no, 1000 AD to about 1600 AD. And some of the history of Mali that I wanted to introduce is this it let's see I did that Guinea Bissau. Oh, Cote d'Ivoire, I forgot to mention that. And then of course Songhai was the empire that followed so, Mali, but it was significantly more advanced than Europe. The economy of Mali was mostly gold. I think they said copper, silver, salt, and cowrie shells. Um, their governing structure was based on, you had one emperor, well, an emperor who managed several provinces of Mali. And but they allowed the people who, while a lot of these people practice Islam, they allowed the different provinces to govern in a way that was their own personal tradition. So they didn't impose their worldview on these people. They said, look, as long as you are trustworthy, conducting your paying your taxes and not engaged in any sort of protest, we're going to give you some autonomy over how you rule your area. Um, they had a Mali was a center of education, and most of you are probably familiar with Timbuktu. So here's the Sankore Madrasa, University of Sankore, and then you have the other one. This is the Sankore Mosque, and this is 1100s. And so University of Timbuktu. So these structures were, architecture was off the chain. They built these, 1100s or 900s, I believe. Late 900s is when a woman, I don't know her name, decided she wanted to create a learning center. So that was the evolution. It evolved into the Sankore Mosque. Um, there It was, like I said, a center of education. They boasted of 100,000 people lived in that area, and of that 100,000, 25,000 of them were students at the University of Sankore, which I thought was unbelievable. I mean, that's amazing in this time, because you still have universities right now who are not that size. Um, so this is almost 1,000 years ago that they had 25,000 students. Um, they so which means they had a very literate population. The books were written in Hausa, Yoruba, Fulani, Mandinka, and they used the Arabic alphabet to translate. But they wrote in their languages, and so that dispels that whole idea that Africans couldn't write. We didn't have any writing systems on the West Coast. I mean, we always hear about the origin of writing systems in Africa, in East Africa, but we also had our own writing systems at least 300-400 years before Europeans came to the coast. So that we have to dispel that idea, that lie. And then they attracted students from abroad. They said students came from all over Europe, all over Arabia, all over Africa to attend school there. And they were mostly healthy communities. Like I said, they encouraged literacy and you had farmers were considered the most valued people in the community. Um, but they still had, the artisans, you had farmers, you had builders, you had the architects, all in a community with well educated people. It was said that it took 10 years. You had to have four levels of education there, and the top one was like the equivalent of a doctorate, which meant you were in school for 10 years. So it needs to also dispel this idea that Black people don't like education and don't like reading and writing and all that stuff, when we literally are the descendants. If you are African American and you live and your ancestors were brought here, it is very possible that you have some genetic, ancestral DNA connection to Mali or Songhai, these empires, because Songhai was even larger than Mali and expanded all the way through Cameroon and included Sierra Leone, Liberia, Togo, Benin, all of those places, all the way over to Nigeria, Chad, almost to Chad. And so when you consider how vast this empire was, and during the Atlantic slave trade, it's very likely that we have some link, ancestral link or connection to this place, which is why it's critically important for us to understand, know who these people are, and understand the depths of it. So, what was taught at Sankora University, at what was taught at Timbuktu? Science, math, advanced knowledge of astronomy, because we know we had the Dogon people who had identified binary star system. We had medicinal knowledge, agriculture, physics, philosophy, chemistry, business, ethics, grammar, law, geography. Oh, I think I already said that. In history. Um, they said hundreds of thousands of manuscripts or books were found at Timbuktu. And in fact, books were one of their main business economies. Just imagine, the average person I heard had at least 1,000 books in their own personal library. And I'm trying. I think I've surpassed that goal. Of course, I've got a school at my house, but my goal is to get up there to about 3,000 books in my house. And so if I get there, I'll be real happy. And I'm a bookie anyway. So um, they had 170 schools in ancient Mali, and they had three universities. So let's be clear. Let's be clear. Africans were interested in education, and they were sending their children from all far and near. And it was also there is also a history of, I think his name is Umar Saeed. Oh my goodness, he was here in North Carolina, brain fog. And they just did a opera about his life. But in his story, he explains that he was a traveling teacher, and so Mali did not just limit their education to Timbuktu, but they traveled outside to different areas to establish schools. What can I say? All right, so so now let's go to the story of Sunjata. This story is transcribed through the voice of Ajali Mamadou Kaute, and the oral tradition was held in high regard because it was said to force the brain to remember. So they did not rely only on the written word. They believed that oral recitation was an extremely important skill, and that is true. Which is why we have our theatrical program. We teach our children Harambe, which they have to do a lot of. They have to memorize the United States, the capitals in the United States, and memorize the countries and capitals of Africa. And through our little commercial, you see they're doing it on a drum beat. They've memorized days of the week in four languages, months of the year in four languages, and colors in four languages. 4 or 5, is it? I'm thinking English, French, Spanish, um, Arabic. in Swahili. Boom. All right. So we have them do that, of course, to a drum rhythm, and so they can hold that memory. Um, Sunjata was born to a woman, Sugalon Keju, who was hunchback and considered she would be considered ill favored. She does not fit our normal idea of what a a queen or princess would be. She's completely opposite of that. So she was disfigured. They said her eyes were weird. So if you think about the Hunchback of Notre Dame, I know some of us are familiar with that. This is what she looked like. Um, the father was Mansa Malgan Kamfada, and he was supposed to be the most handsome person in Mali at that time. He was highly favored. Um, Sunjata literally translates, boom, the Lion Prince or the Hungering Lion. So just want you to hold that thought as we move through this narrative of his life. So there was a prophecy that Sunjata would be um, a great emperor at his birth. Two hunters. It was prophesied that two hunters would come and visit Malcolm Kamfada, and then later on, these two hunters did show up with a woman, and her name was Sogalon Keju from the land of Do, and Malcolm Kamfada was told to marry this woman. Of course, she had the veil, and so he couldn't see her, but until after the marriage or whatever. But he went ahead and married her. One of the things that was said, I wanted to read this prophecy. Um, O king, the world is full of mystery. All is hidden. We know nothing but what we can see. The silk cotton tree springs from a tiny seed, that which defies the tempest. This tree is supposedly so strong that the wind can't even bother it. Weighs in its germ no more than a grain of rice. So when the seeds of these gigantic trees are the size of rice, and they grow. I have a copy of it. This is what the silk cotton tree looks like. So it's massive, as you can see, and you see the branches, how it spreads out. So it's huge. So the prophecy is that this seed is going to become the size of the a silk cotton tree, will be expansive. Kingdoms are like trees. Some will be silk cotton trees, others will remain dwarf palms, and the powerful silk cotton tree will cover them with its shade. Oh, who can recognize in the little child the great king to come? So the prophecy is that you're gonna have this baby is going to be this great person, but how many people are going to recognize this? And so the prophecy, the baby is born, and lo and behold, because his mother is disfigured, he also has handicap. He can't walk, and he also is unable to talk. Okay, so because of this, now Susuma Barete, the first wife of Magan Kamfada, oh man, she's all hot about it. Like, why he married this ugly woman and blah, 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 blah. And you know the story. She was terrible. She ridiculed her. She teased her. She tormented her. And Sogalon, the wife, and just made her feel terrible. And then the baby not being able to walk. Now she's mocking her and all of that. And so the story goes that it looked like it wasn't going to happen. The people were losing faith in the prophecy. A lot of people forgot about it, said, "Oh, that mess ain't true," whatever. But the mother Sogalon continued to take care of him, taught him the land, the ways of their ancestors, taught him to be a person of good character, a person of faith, and to keep movement. Don't worry about it. At the age of 7, he finally spoke when Malgan Kamfada decided to pass on a Jolly. The son of his Jolly was not on. Oh no, Nagaman I'm going to mess up the name, but his son was Balafasake. So Balafasake was the son of a Jolly, who was passed on to Sunjata, and that was the first time Sunjata spoke. Now, he was continue to torment. They continue to torment him because they're like, what's the good of a walking lion? He can talk, but he can't walk. So blah 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 blah. So in the story, now the story has full of all this allegory and, like I said, magical realism. So it would be a splendid movie to see. Especially through the epic of DT Diani's version of it. But he is they summoned a ironsmith who has these magical powers, who has created this staff, waiting for the strongest staff and that he could make, waiting for Sunjata to ask for it. Sunjata at 11 pulls himself up and is able to walk. So now the Susuma Bharati completely loses her mind because she wants her son, Tuman, Duman, oh my goodness, I'm messing with these names, but Dankuna Toro, something like that, her son to be the king. So she forces them into exile, and Sogalan says we better go because she's trying to kill her. So Sogalan has been there's been attempted assassination of Sogalan and an attempted assassination of Sunjata, and they're like, we got to get out of here. And so it shows how he has to now leave his home, Mali, and which so this is the storm that they're talking about. This is the struggles that the seed has to grow and to make it, grow its roots and push forward up towards the sun, and and grow its leaves and the da da da. So we see this same struggle, what that struggle might, that symbolizes for us, Sunjata. And then he's in exile. He goes from kingdom to kingdom. Some of them say, oh no, you can't come in here. You got this evil king Sumoro Kante, who's trying to wipe everybody out, and he knows about you. And so you got to go. And then somebody else will say, well, we'll give you some food, but you can't stay for a couple of days. And because that group was like, Sumubarete has threatened us. So you just see they find no peace until they get to Mema. Once they get to Mema, they settle in, and the king there identifies this leadership ability in Sujata and says, okay, I'm going to let you be my viceroy or my second in command. And so he rises up. All at the same time, this other king, Sumorakante, he's off the chain. He's taking heads. He's taking people's wives. He's taking people's land, resources, just destroying every place he goes. He's just wicked, evil, crazy, out of control. And so the folks in Mali are like, wait, what was that prophecy? What was that prophecy? Oh, we better go find this boy. So they go back to find out where did he go, and they go from kingdom to kingdom to kingdom to kingdom and kingdom until they get to Mema. And luckily, his sister was at the marketplace and with some what Nunu leaves and baobab, and recognized the food, and like, oh, you recognize it? Who are you? What's your name? Blah blah blah. And they meet with Sogalon, and they're like, oh my God, we have been looking for you. We've been looking for you. And so now they ask him, I think at this time he's 17 years old, Sunjata, we need you to come back. And so, and get and reclaim your kingdom. And so with the blessings of his mother, who is now very aged, has been, um, this all this traveling has just, she was already disfigured, has taken a toll on her body, and she is at death's door, but she gives him her blessing. He doesn't leave, and I think until it's time for her burial, whatever. And then, yeah, I think that's when he leaves. And so now he begins this journey back to um, Mali, and then you have these all of these people who are disgruntled with Sumorokante. They join him and join him and join him, and then you now again see some magical realism. It's an amazing story. Between his commentary with excuse me, with excuse me, with Sumoro Kante. You get to see all of the things that were going on in the background and how it all culminates to this point where Sunjata is able to actually defeat Sumoro Kante, the sorcerer king, and at the end he becomes the empire. He rebuilds it. The 12 doors of Mali, which are the 12 provinces of Mali, are reestablished and brought together. And let's see, I'm trying to think. He You see his military strategies. He unifies the tribes. He has a cavalry that's amazing, infantry, archers, and he defeats Samarkand, and Mali becomes the largest, wealthiest empire of West Africa at that time. This book is full of African spiritualism and mysticism. It's written in an archaic speech. Like I said, it's full of parables, full of proverbs, and it's written like, I don't want to say it's necessarily Shakespearean, but it gives you that vibe of the way that they speak. And Sunjata, he was born in the 1200s, maybe late 1100s. I saw 1190. I saw someplace else where it's 1200, and he transitioned in 1255. But he ruled for 25 years, and under his rulership, all of those things his mother had taught him about, good character, how to rule with justice, all of those qualities he brought to his empire. And he was known as a great king who created the first concept of civil rights, or equal rights, or rights of the people, rights of citizens. Um, in the Mandan Empire. And so we've got the Magna Carta, but before the Magna Carta, there was the Malian concept of civil rights and governing. And then you also had, of course, the Iroquois Confederation here. So even that, this understanding of how to govern people was amazing. So now, if this sounds like The Lion King, cultural appropriation, because I told you Sunjata means the lion prince, or the hungering lion. And so instead of them telling this history, which would have, oh my God, just imagine if African Americans had seen this story told through this, instead of like folklore, but as an actual historical person that was part of our legacy. What would that have been? They turned the story into animals and this little lion fight for his empire. And I don't know if the Zulu people don't have a story that's comparable to this, but there is the story, and it should have been told this way. Well, why would we trust other people to do it? Anyway, someone out here needs to find a way to put this story on in the hands of our people. We do not have to pretend we had an empire like Wakanda. We have real stories, real empires, and real people who were people of character. And Sunjata Keita is also, I'm gonna make this quick link, the son, the grandfather or uncle of Mansa Musa, who was the wealthiest man in the world, and Abubakar II, who I talked to you about before, who brought 2,000 ships, or 2,200 ships to America. And so Sunjata Keita, an epic of old Mali, an ancestor that we should most definitely remember. Ashe.
I'm a St. Sya student. Of course I walk into the sound of drums.
I'm a St. Sya student. Of course I know my mother.
I'm a St. Sya student. Of course I can play the drum.
I'm a St. Sya student. Of course I can work with my hands.
St. Sya student.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.